This message comes from Capella University. That spark you feel? That's your drive for more. Capella University's FlexPath learning format lets you earn your degree at your pace without putting life on pause. Learn more at capella.edu.
Brittany, I've had kind of a revelation this year.
Oh, tell me. I love a revelation.
Okay, so what I've realized is that going to the movies kind of rocks.
Yeah. Welcome to the club. And welcome on mic to everyone listening. This is Liam McBain. He is one of the producers of It's Been a Minute.
Hi, I'm usually behind the scenes, but I really felt like I had to share this epiphany with the world. I mean, I joke because really a lot of people already know that going to see films is great. Like, Brittany, I know you've been a long-time cinephile.
Oh, this is true. I mean, basically, as soon as I could open my eyes, they were looking at a movie screen. But I wonder, what changed for you?
Okay, it's kind of two things. One, I had a really transformative experience seeing Blue Velvet in theaters. Like, I came out of that screening a different guy altogether.
I gotta say, I'm not surprised by that. I mean, with a David Lynch film. But what's the other thing?
Okay, so every year I make a physical bingo card with my friends on New Year's Day. And we fill the squares with things we think will happen in the year, either personally or in the world. And one of the things I put down was that my friend Zach and I would see a horror movie we both liked. Because I saw maybe 6 movies at theaters in total last year, not as much horror as I'd like. And the one that I did see, Weapons, really didn't do it for me.
Weapons is kind of a mixed bag. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. So I've just been seeing tons of movies this year trying to get that bingo square, and it's become kind of a habit. And I'm kind of feeling like I'm sheeple now because a lot of folks in my generation are doing the same.
Yes, you are famously Gen Z.
Yeah, I'm 27 on the older side of it. And I learned recently that Gen Z is now the biggest movie-going demographic, according to a couple recent surveys by Fandango and ComScore. I think Hollywood was kind of freaked for a while because they thought we wouldn't show out for movies anymore. But 2 big horror films, Obsession and Backrooms, just smashed all box office expectations. Like, to give a sense of scale, Backrooms is A24's biggest opening in the studio's history, and Obsession made over 300 times its small budget. Plus, it's the first non-Christmas release since E.T. in the 80s to have made more money in the second and third weekends after its first.
Oh, that's so wild.
Yeah, and it was mostly Gen Z showing up to see these movies, including myself. Again, I'm sheeple.
Okay, maybe we can reframe this to say that you're having a communal experience. I mean, I've seen how popular both of these films are, and it's wild that so much of their success has been driven by Gen Z. And not for nothing, both these movies were directed by Gen Z filmmakers. I guess the generational tide is turning, and that's really fascinating to me.
Me too. And I really want to know what's driving them, us, to the movies in these huge numbers. But also, what do we get out of it? And what makes a movie a Gen Z movie?
Oh, I am dying to know that.
Okay, well, I don't have the answers, but I found 2 people who do. Sam Adams, staff writer at Slate, and Rihanna Cruz, entertainment journalist and critic. Rihanna is also a fellow member of Gen Z. I'm going to hop off mic and get back to producing, but I can't wait to hear this conversation.
Well, I can't wait to have it. Hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident. Rihanna, Sam, welcome to It's Been a Minute.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm excited to talk about this. I want to talk about Backrooms and Obsession. These movies have done huge numbers. What did you think about them? Rihanna, we'll start with you.
It's interesting. I've had kind of inverse reactions to both of those movies where I was in the theater for Obsession. I was like, this is pretty good. And then over time, I've started to like it less. And I've had the opposite experience with Backrooms where I saw it and I was like, all right, this is okay. And the more I sit and think about it, the more I like it. Mm-hmm. I like a lot of horror movies.
Me too.
We kind of live in horror maxing times, which I'm obsessed with. But I think of the two, I'm definitely team Backrooms. I know we don't want to pick sides, but that's the side that I'm coming down on, I gotta say.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Backrooms I saw initially and I was like, is decent. And then over time, I've grown to appreciate it a little bit more. And then I saw Obsession yesterday, and I was like, my husband and I were leaving, and he was like, is this a moment where we're like, I'm too old to understand what's going on? But what did you think, Sam? You saw both of these movies, Backrooms and Obsession. What did you think?
Well, since we're not picking sides, Team Obsession. Yeah, Backrooms, I think, is an incredible vibe. Like, I love the environment of it, which is what the director, Kane Parsons, kind of comes out of, the sort of literal backrooms in it. I think the script, which he did not write, is kind of a mess.
There's like several monologues coming from a middle-aged man.
Yes.
And I'm like, have you met any middle-aged men before?
Right. I mean, it's like you've got this wunderkind, and someone decided that the best protagonist for his movie was like a 48-year-old divorced guy. I think that's a bit of a category error right there. Whereas Curry Barker, who made Obsession, I think that's like, it's an imperfect movie, but I think some parts of it really work. It's like there's so many horror movies you see now that just feel like they're kind of grinding their gears in the first 10, 20 minutes until you start getting to the kills and the premise is established. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a movie that like actually cares about the characters and has, especially in Indy Neverready, who plays Nikki, I think has a really like stellar effective performance at the center of it, which has been so key to just the one viral clip of her going sort of, no, no, no. I'm not even going to try to do her performance.
No, 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 don't do it!
That was so key just in my experience of kind of watching people warm to the movie online. That really seemed to get people's attention.
You know, one of the things that's interesting is that according to The Hollywood Reporter, 75% of Obsession's audience was 18 to 34 through the second weekend, which is mostly Gen Z.
Wow.
And over half of Backroom's first weekend audience was under 25, according to IndieWire.
Yeah, this makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, like Gen Z, they're showing up for these films. Why do you think that is? I mean, you say it makes sense to you, Rihanna. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think both of these movies have been massive cultural moments. I think both of them have been founded on premises that are easy to convey. You know, I think the marketing for both of those movies has been good, especially on social media, right? And I think it lands really well with audiences that want to be in on the discourse a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot of people talking about these films on platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels and Twitter. It's interesting to me how many people are showing up because they want a take and they want to comment, right? And I think there's also an element that, like, horror is very easy to consume. It doesn't really ask much of its audience. You know, you kind of just show up. And in the case of Backrooms specifically, like, be immersed in the vibe.
You know, when I was growing up, it was like, it's Friday night, what movie are we going to see? And I don't think that's how younger people are approaching it. It's not the default thing anymore. So they are picking the movies they want to see, not just based on like, do I want to see this thing, but like, what is going to be an experience to like see this in the theater? And horror is the genre where you most feel like you're in a crowd. People are like screaming and gasping and like reacting along with you. And it's just like the theatrical experience for horror is really special. Like this feeling of being part of a group is something, especially a generation that, you know, is coming up during the pandemic is really craving that sort of collective experience.
That's a really, really, really good point. Obsession was directed by Curry Barker, who is 26, and Backrooms was directed by Kane Parsons, who is 20. Both of them started out as YouTubers. What do you think about the Gen Z YouTuber to director pipeline happening with these films?
Super Mario Galaxy just crossed the $1 billion mark, so it's not like everything has changed in Hollywood, but it is certainly like feels like a moment for these particular kind of movies. I think Gen Z is responding to something that feels like a little bit more theirs, not just that the filmmakers are, you know, in their 20s, but also that this is not something that has been like shoved down their throat by a major corporation. And it feels like something they're being ordered to see. It feels like something that is possible for them to discover. And I just think that's really like intoxicating. And it's a feeling that's been missing from moviegoing for a long time.
Over the past few years, there's been a lot of, you know, the YouTuber to director pipeline. I'm thinking of Chris Stuckman and Shelby Oaks. I'm thinking of the Philippines and Talk to Me and Bring Her Back.
Such a good movie.
Great flicks. Not Shelby Oaks, the other ones. But I think there is something to the fact that audiences feel, a little bit of ownership over these creators. You know, there's a parasocial relationship element, I think, especially when it comes to Backrooms, because I hate to call it a property, but it is like a thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
Audiences like myself watched it. Backrooms was based on a creepypasta, which is like a meme if a meme was scary. Yeah, a Gen Z way of engaging with horror material.
We're going to take a quick break, but first, you all know I really love hearing from you, and many of you keep leaving the kindest notes for me in the reviews and comments. One listener mentioned that this podcast is the only way to start their day. Forget coffee. Another wrote that if this show is talking about a topic, that story is worth paying attention to. Listen, I work hard to have my ears to the ground for you. And I am so grateful to all of you for always coming back 4 times a week. It would also mean so much to me if you could rate and review the show wherever you listen. It helps new listeners discover the show and allows this community we're building to keep growing. Join the IBAM team. Rate and review this show right now. Thank you so much. Coming up after the break.
I saw something on the internet the other day where someone was saying, if you're in a certain age, like in your mid-20s, like you've just never known a world where people are rewarded for doing good. And I think that feels like something that really runs through in these films.
Stick around.
This message is from AT&T. With your summer essential, the iPhone 17 Pro. Its center stage front camera auto-adjusts the frame to fit everyone into group selfies. Right now at AT&T, ask how you can get iPhone 17 Pro on them with eligible trade-in. Requires eligible plan. Terms and restrictions apply, subject to change. Visit att.com/iPhone for details.
This message comes from Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Carvana, making buying a car 100% online with real, transparent pricing and customizable financing that fits your budget. Browse thousands of cars and get yours delivered. Visit Carvana.com today. Delivery fees and terms may apply.
Even before these films came out, according to a couple recent surveys by ComScore and Fandango, Gen Z is now the biggest movie-going audience. I think for a long time, Hollywood was worried that wouldn't be the case. But I wonder, what is bringing Gen Z to movie theaters?
I think it's a lot of things. I think, again, social media plays a big part of it. Mm-hmm. People want to be in on the discourse.
That's how Obsession got me, because I was like, everyone's talking about it. I'm like, I want to talk too. I want to be included.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think Gen Z is a demographic that uses the platform Letterboxd a lot.
Ah, yes, Letterboxd.
You know, Letterboxd gamifies movie watching. It rewards you the more movies you watch.
Yeah, I love logging my watches into Letterboxd, yeah.
Yeah, it shows off to your friends how cultured and tapped in you are. You know, there's something really satisfying about seeing your movie stats go up. It's a social media platform for movies, and I think that has a lot to do with it. I also think that, like, the idea of these movie subscription services like AMC A-List turns the movie, which was previously, in my eyes, like a solo experience, into something easy that friend groups can do.
Oh, so you're an A-lister. Okay.
Oh, you know I'm an A-lister. It's, for a lot of people, cost effective. I see a lot of movies with a lot of different people. I have a lot of people on my A-list entourage. Like, it's a social element baked into the service.
What is A-list entourage?
Basically, all of your friends who also have A-list, you can send each other links and like add each other on the app, so they all populate in your app, right? When you're buying a ticket, and it's very, very easy to book tickets for your friends.
Oh, that makes sense. Sam, what do you think? How do you think Gen Z's become the largest movie-going audience?
I mean, I wonder if one of the things that's maybe going on in this particular moment is sort of like a long-term rant of mine, is that people have been complaining for years that movies are too expensive, right? I think what really happened is that people stopped valuing that experience.
100% agree.
So it wasn't that they cost too much, it's that they were like $15 for a movie when I can wait for it. Why would I pay that?
Yeah.
Everything else is so much more expensive now that I think maybe part of it is people are coming back around to like, there's not a lot of other things you can do except for like go for a walk that involves like paying $15 to do something collective for 2 hours. Like you can't get 2 beers for that in most cities.
No.
So I think, and especially if you have something like, you know, a subscription service, which also they often like discount your popcorn and your soda and whatever. Like I think it actually is just sort of like a good value for money proposition on top of everything else. And I think part of what's going on with these movies too, not just Obsession and Backrooms, but also like The Drama a couple months ago, which was another movie that seemed to be a real hit with this demographic, is these are movies that people are like discussing. There's something that you can kind of chew on for days and weeks afterwards, which again is like spend $15, go to a theater for 2 hours, and you have like weeks of, I guess, entertainment.
I just saw The Drama a week ago. Gen Z members of the IBAM team have let me know that that was a Gen Z movie. And after I saw it, I was like, oh, I totally get the sensibility. I 100% agree. I think there are certain movies that are of certain generations, regardless of who made them, right? High Fidelity feels very Gen X to me. Mean Girls, made by a Gen X person, but very millennial.
For sure.
Although I think that Everything Everywhere All at Once is perhaps like more apt example of like what a millennial film really is, because of like, it just has this sort of like millennial hope core kind of vibe running through it.
Hope core, definitely millennial.
Yeah, exactly. And like the millennial directors, it just feels like the generational fingerprint is really on there. What do you think makes a Gen Z movie? Like, what do you think about that?
Backrooms and Obsession are very doomer vibes. That's definitely part of the Gen Z movie aesthetic. I think as a member of Gen Z, I think there's two things going on, right? And it's an and or situation. It's that members of Gen Z have to be featured in the movie. I think that's why The Drama, in part, is a Gen Z movie.
I mean, it's just Zendaya and she's on the cusp, right? I think she's technically a millennial, but only just by a few months, though. Of course, more culturally, she might be Gen Z. Either one of us could claim her.
Robert Pattinson keeps insisting in interviews that he's Gen Z. It's sort of like a running joke.
Do you wish you were a Gen Z? You're not Gen Z. You're a millennial. No, you're a millennial. I believe that you believe that you're Gen Z.
I am Gen Z.
What year were you born?
It doesn't matter.
I think Gen Z movies have to feature members of Gen Z in some capacity and also have a devotion to exploring the digital aesthetic landscape that we find ourselves in. I don't think Obsession does this. Part of my issue with the movie is that screens are kind of non-existent for these characters. But I don't know. I think that's why The Drama to me lands, because it features Zendaya and also it has a very uniquely Gen Z experience of like being on the computer too much and getting really involved in like scary communities online. Not saying that happened to me, but I saw that happen to people that I know, where when she was talking in the movie about, you know, being obsessed with school shootings, like I would come across people like that on Tumblr when I was a teenager and be like, whoa, this is really freaky. It's something that could actually happen. And so that's why I think like the two things are members of Gen Z and or digital aesthetic, where Backrooms is made by a Gen Z director, but all the characters are not Gen Z. And yet it focuses on like digital abstraction.
I didn't even think about that. You're right. Like,
well, because we live in a very digital age, you know, as Gen Z, like we're the first generation to grow up fully online.
That part makes sense. But I'm talking about what you said with Backrooms, where it felt Gen Z because it's got a kind of digitally abstracted aesthetic.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like canonically it's taking place in 1990, so no one in the film can be Gen Z. But to me, it's always kind of fun to see people who were not even born in the 1900s in general try to imagine what it was like back then.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know, someone's trying to go back through, like when people were obsessed with Egyptology in the 1920s and they were like trying to excavate and figure out what ancient Egyptians were doing. That's kind of how this movie felt, where it's like a person who grew up around probably not too many shopping malls or maybe saw a lot of vacant strip malls and is trying to sort of like make sense of like why that feels so horrifying and what was going on there. It's funny to me as a person who like, I'm old enough to remember people shopping in these places, but like, why would Kane Parsons was not born when people were shopping in these places. So it's kind of interesting to see through the lens of like a period film, what horror there is to be mined in sort of like thinking about the ruins of the world that was.
I mean, one of the sort of recurring explanations in Backrooms that Chiwetel Ejiofor's character has is it's like if you described a dog to someone who didn't know what a dog was and then had them draw a picture of that thing. And the Backrooms, which is set in, sort of shopping malls and these like public spaces that are kind of devoid of all meaning.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think links certainly the movies that seem to be hitting with Gen Z this year is this just total evacuation of like any meaning from the world. Like there are rules, but they don't work anymore. Even in Obsession, it's like the rules like take this stick, like break it, wish for what you want, you'll get it. And Bear, in theory, like does what the instructions on the package tell him to do. And it does not work out for him. And so these are worlds in which there's just kind of like no pathway to success or happiness anywhere. Like the world is just fundamentally broken. I saw something on the internet the other day where someone was saying, well, if you're a certain age, like in your mid-20s, like you've just never known a world where people are rewarded for doing good. And I think that feels like something that really runs through the sense of the world you're seeing in these films.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the like doomerism of it, right? Like I think that's the dominant vibe that Gen Z finds ourselves in. It's interesting to see that conveyed in movies. And I don't think that there has been anything to accurately portray that hopelessness so far. So I think that's a really great point, Sam.
One of the things about Obsession is that the film kind of starts off with a group of 4 friends who all work at the same job that none of them are fulfilled by or seem to particularly like. They're all kind of lonely in their own individual ways, and they don't share with each other emotionally as you think that friends might. They're kind of like suffering in silence, even though they're spending a lot of time together. And what hope for happiness that a couple of these characters have, it gets snuffed out by the events of the film.
Right. I do wonder also how much of this vibe that's coming through is because horror is like one of the few places that like a young filmmaker who doesn't have a movie star on board can like make an impression and get an audience. Like the fact that Curry Barker was a sort of online sketch comedian, but when he wanted to make features, he obviously knew that like horror was the place to break in. Like I wonder if you gave a Gen Z filmmaker $10 million like Kane Parsons got for Backrooms to make like a romantic comedy or something, maybe it wouldn't seem like quite so hopeless.
I mean, I would totally watch a Gen Z rom-com. Like one of the coolest things for me has been seeing through different pieces of art made by members of Gen Z, how they're feeling about their experience of the world. But I'd like to see more perspectives on it. Like even the YouTuber to film director pipeline, like it's still very white and male. I'll be curious to see if that or how that opens up for Gen Z. I mean, for millennials, we had versions of that. Like Abbott Elementary is due to the success of Quinta Brunson. She started out doing online videos, as did Issa Rae, who turned an online video series into basically an HBO show. I mean, it was a different kind of era for Hollywood to a certain degree, both in terms of diversity and in terms of trying to mine the internet and video content for potential new stars. I'm hoping to see maybe another cycle of that and some new voices. But Hollywood is obviously paying attention to the success of these movies, right?
Hollywood tends to learn the least disruptive lesson they can from things like this. So in this case, it's like, get me the next young white guy with a big YouTube presence. And that's one way to go in this. But the lesson I hope they would take from these is just let younger people kind of like represent their experience. I think there's so few movies just about characters in their 20s doing anything that looks like real life or resembles the way they see the world. And I don't think that it has to come from YouTube. And Curry Barker had a YouTube following. It's not enormous. It's not like the 83 million people who watched the Backrooms video. It's just enough to give them a leg up. And the people are responding to this because it's a good movie and it has characters in their 20s whose lives feel like the lives of people in their 20s. And I hope some smart person will take that lesson from it instead.
Sam, Rhianna, thank you so much. This has been such an enlightening conversation. You all brought up so many things I hadn't even thought of. So thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Happy to be here.
That was Sam Adams, staff writer at Slate, and Rhianna Cruz, entertainment journalist and critic. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Liam McBain.
Engineering support came from
Tiffany Vera Castro.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Our supervising producer is
Cher Vincent.
Our executive producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from Monarch, Monarch is the personal finance app that brings all your accounts into one place so you can track spending, budgets, investments, debt, and goals in one clear view. Monarch automatically surfaces insights to prevent wasted spending, showcase savings opportunities, and save you time above all else. Manage money the modern way and get half off your first year of Monarch Core with code VALUE at monarch.com. This message comes from Kachava. It can be tough to stick to your wellness routine, especially when you're on the go. Kachava's new travel packs make it easier. Just one packet provides nutrition ready for wherever life takes you, with protein, fiber, greens, probiotics, electrolytes, and more. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code NPR. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code NPR.